This is day 124 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. This year, first cycle falls out on Motzei Yom Kippur, and good year to everybody who is tuning in this first year, and everyone else. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, you'll be very much appreciated. Please contact me directly. Today we are doing Siman Pei Tes Sif Zion through Siman Pei Tes Sif Tes Vav. We're still talking about the origins and antecedents of davening. Zion, David HaMelech Olav Amar. David says in the Elim, Nun Hey, Erev Avoker B'Tzrayim Masicha Be'emev Yishma Koli. Evening, morning, and afternoon, I will discourse and I will plead. I'm not sure it translates. Something along those lines, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to me. V'amar, he says in Tim Kuv Mem Vav, Kuv Mem Aleph, Tikon Tfilas Yiktor, so Donecha, may my tefillah be accepted like incense before you. Hareisha Tfilah Chashuv Yiktor, so tefillah is like Ketores. So Daniel Tzadik Kam, Biyosa B'Gdula, Daniel the righteous, who was, of course, one of the people in Tanakh, the Ksuvim, when he was a great, even in the court of Nebuchadnezzar. He made sure that 3 times a day. Zimni Daniel Vav, Zimni Tlosa Biyoma. 3 times a day have a Baruch Abruchoi. He would bless HaKadosh Baruch Hu on his knees. Umatzli Modei Kanam Elah, and he would daven and thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moser Nafsho at Tefillah, and he was Moser Nefesh on Tefillah. In that account, they threw him into the lion's den. Not for naught did the Anshkas Agdola, among whom were 70 and 120 Skanim, I believe according to Sham it's 85, but who's counting? They must teach you learn to say that Tefillah Baruch Kaduklusha Sam. They arrange for us the order of davening and with the Holy Spirit. The Chol Teva V'Teva Mei Brum Shalom. Every word is at is of a lofty stature. Now, anything we know comes from Shignas Agdola, which is not as much as some people think. We should not even deviate the sharp edge of the yud, the sharp point of the yud. And certainly for those who cast off the yoke, which is said today, those who have cast off the yoke, this is a pokrim, that's prika, but the words are related. They changed the davening from Hebrew to a non-Jewish language, foreign languages. Even though technically, as we shall see, you're Yotze, but everything depends on your intent and what you're trying to accomplish. They have no part in the God of His own, His holy Torah. And the arrogance is the same as this, is just as their stupidity. How can a person in our generation have the brazenness, the deviate in that which the fathers of the world, Kufchav's Canaan, 120 elders, come to be in from them several prophets, Chagai, Schar, Malachi, Ezra, Nechem, Zubad, Yeshua, Ben Yotzadek, HaKohen Doro, Moshkasav, Asmag, Mitzvah, Yutes, Ayin, Shom, Rambam, Shom. You see, Yeshim, Aktanim, Shmei, Nusach, Ashkenaz, Nusach, Sfard. What about all those little changes which have been made in the last few hundred years by the Hasidim, and even among some of the Misnagdim, how they've been made? So those ain't a shinui. That's not a big deal. That's not a change. Shnei Niskabli Rosh Mikedem. Evidently, a lot he's talking about that the ancient changes. Rosh sounds like for 400 years, but I don't think that's what he means. And I'm not sure why he says that, because there are lots of changes which are made by the Hasidim, especially when they came into being. So I'm not sure what Rosh Mikedem means. But Lulei Divrei Arukh HaShulchan, my approach to this is that everything, the changes which are small are acceptable and perhaps even encouraged in the Siddur of Tefillah, because Tefillah is supposed to be a personal experience. The scaffolding is from Anshe Yesagdola, not necessarily all the nuances. Most of the Chazimas HaBrachas, I think 99%, are from the Anshe Yesagdola and etched in stone. Not all of them, but most, the overwhelming majority of them. But certainly the rest of the brachas besides the Chasima have been changed throughout the generations from place to place and from time to time. Bisa May, again, as I said before, the Kavanah has a lot to do with it. Echad Amarba ve'echad Amamit. Whether you do a lot or little, but you have to have the right Kavanah. Back to your Arukh HaShulchan, enough editorializing. He says, "Very kulam shaveh b'mini apachos b'karin yanim." All the traditional nuschos are equal in the number of brachos and the primary matters. Ve'elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chaim, and both these and those are the words of the living God. By the way, we're during davening today. We say Yom Kippur davening saying about Elokim chaim. Elokim chaim, right? So So there's a way how to translate Elokim chaim is always a bit of a question. You translate these and those are the words of the living God, or these and those are the living words of God. So from the nusach of the Zachrenu, it seems like the proper translation is these and those are the words of the living God. The first three brachas are praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The last three brachas are thankful gratitude. I'm telling you this in the middle. There's a request for everything in the world. Interesting language of the Rambam. These brachas in the middle are like avos, which have tolados. In other words, they are over all categories. For all the needs of people, and for all the need individually, and for all needs of the community collectively. I'm talking about tefillos hakdosha. Somebody who may carefully infers the tefillah, holy tefillos, hahein, yimtzah ba'in yanim nifloi, will find wondrous matters. Gam al pi pshat, even according to pshat. Koshkin shavadai ramzu b'chom bracha, certainly because they alluded in each and every bracha in yanim ongim b'ru shalom, matters which are lofty in this world. And not for naught did tefillah the Chachamim say that tefillah is a need on high. Normally you understand that to mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu requires us to daven, but this means that tefillah, the way we translate, seems to hold that the tefillah is necessary for its loftiness. Okay, but as it may. Test. They institute that the number of tefillos every day should be like the number of karbanos. State tefillos b'chol yom, 2 tefillos every day connected shnei tamidim corresponding to the 2 tamidim. Tamid shel shachar in the morning, tamid v'tamid shmein arbaim, tamid of the afternoon. B'chol yom sheish bo korban musaf, o Shabbos v'yontav Rosh Chodesh, and 8 days which has a korban musaf. Take no tefillos shlishis, they added a third tefillah. The nikres tefillos musaf, which is called, wait for it, musaf. The tefillos shel shachar connected tamid shel shachar. The tefillah in the morning corresponds to the tamid of the morning. Because mincha, the tefillah minchas connected tamid shel arbaim corresponds to the tamid of the afternoon. Also, they assume that a person daven one tefillah every night. Case tefillah arvis is called arvis. Connected arvis, language of erev. Erev is also a language of erev. They both have the same connotation. Connected a body tamid shmein arbaim, corresponding to the limbs of the afternoon tamid, shemis achlim ba'ochlin kol laila, which get consumed on mizbeach throughout the night. Like it says, Vayikra Yolah Migdah Chu Gomer Kol HaLayla. Yolah Migdah Mizbech Kol HaLayla. The Ola, the Tamid Ben Rabbaim, continues burning overnight. Moshe David, Erev Avokim B'Tzarayim Asicha. Evening, morning. That's we quoted that beginning with Sif Zion before. Evening, morning, and afternoon, I will discourse. Gomer. Kamosh Daniel Shishpav Shlosh Panim Bayon Kamosh Kasavnu. Like Daniel, we also mentioned previously. But even though these psukim connote 3 tefillos a day, which includes Ma'ariv, nevertheless Ma'ariv is not as obligatory as Shachris and Mincha. Came which ain't lo korban ne'atzu because it doesn't have its own korban. Nevertheless, no guk will call Yisrael b'chol makomos. Moshe was saying the Jews that conduct themselves in all the places of their residences. They spell tefillos Arabis to daven Ma'ariv. They kiblu aleim b'chaban, accept upon themselves as an obligation. Yud, v'chein tiknu tefillah achat tefillas mincha b'yom tainis tzibor somash kiyas hachama. They added, and the only message we have today, of course, is to what we downed earlier today. They added a tefillah adjacent to shkia on the tainis tzibor. They losif tchina b'koshim ne'ah tainis to add supplication and request because the tainis mikres tefillas to the ne'ilah. It's called ne'ilah, klomar ninalu sharei shemayim b'ara shemesh v'nistorah. the gates of heaven are closed, are locked, on account of the sun being concealed. We only daven on Yom Kippur. You don't have a true Tiny Sibur in Chutz La'aretz. If I feel Tisha B'Av, ain't no Tiny Sibur in Nila. Even Tisha B'Av is not Tiny Sibur in terms of Nila, because the true Tiny Sibur was for ongoing, ensuing dangers and difficulties, which we don't no longer make Tainesim for. At least not in the full format of Maseches Tainis. So every day 3 tefillos. Shabbos Yom Rosh Chodesh 4. 4 on Musaf days. Yom Kippur 5 and Yom Kippur 5. Avraham Tiken Tefillah Shachris. Avraham instituted Shachris. Yitzchak Tiken Tefillah Mincha. Yitzchak instituted Mincha. Yaakov Tiken Tefillah Arvis. Yaakov instituted Marv. Finam Lazem Mikroy Ayin Shem learn from Sukkim Sidem Mechen B'Yushalmi Reish Perek Base. Reish Tefillah Shachar. So it's the Yushalmi beginning of the Perek Tefillah Shachar. Lamash Sham the Tefillah Avichim Min HaTorah Mikra Dulav Do Kedas Rambam. Ayin Shem. Yushalmi. It sounds like the Rambam's correct. That Tefillah is Midoraisa. Yurav, Kosar Ben Abis Yosef was Mantvias Shachar Mitzvos Sheschil Im HaNetzach. The mitzvah of the Shachar is to begin with sunrise. You can see Yura'ucha Im Shem should be seen with the sun. Yispalim Shalom Ura Shachar. If you daven after dawn, the Yer Pnei HaMizrach, when once the dawn is earlier than Yer Pnei HaMizrach, but once the eastern sky is illuminated, Yotzar Yotzar. Yishav Zmana Atzov Arba Shos, and the time goes into end 4 hours into the day. Shushli Shalom, which is the third of the day. Ad Kan Lashana. Chen Lashana Torah is also the Torah. Because the Zman for the Shachar, Masker Shalom with the Shachar. The Zman of Shachar begins after Loam with the Shachar V'Yibnei Mizrach, and the eastern sky is illuminated. V'chulei Ayin Shom. Chen Lashana Rosh by Reish Perek Tfilas Shachar V'Zev Lashona. The Rosh says the Tchil Zmana Yireh Yishallah Amut Barak HaShachar V'Yibnei Mizrach. It begins when the lightning, in other words, the blast of light from the east comes up, and the eastern sky is illuminated. He doesn't say, I guess say B'nai Mizrach, but that means not here, Kopenham Mizrach, but there's a burst of light in the eastern sky. But this is mentioned here now, but discussed by Arukh HaShulchan. Ein Shom before Medivrayim, it seems to them that Amud HaShachar Hu Eir B'nai Mizrach. That dawn is when the eastern sky is illuminated. Comes out before this, it's nighttime. Chenkos have Rashi Reish Bergemel Diyuma. Chenkos have Echem Magdan Perusha Mishnayis Reish Brachos. And so too wrote the Gra. B'zel Shona Shomar Gamli Omer Ad She'el Amud HaShachar Hu Eir Pnei HaMizrach Ad Kan Lashona. Pretty explicit that Ad She'el Amud HaShachar is when Eir Pnei HaMizrach. B'zel Dim Avur Reish Bergemel Diyuma the Eir Kol HaMizrach. What is this language we have in Yuma concerning the Avodah and the Beis HaMikdash? Here, Kol HaMizrach, who Achar Los HaShachar. That's when the entire eastern sky becomes illuminated. Who Zeh Eir Kol HaMizrach, the entire eastern sky, should be Spashtus Yom Gomer, which is the expansion of the day in its completion. Havay Eir Mizrach Stam Los HaShachar, which is this Eir HaMizrach without Kol HaMizrach, that is specifically refers to Los HaShachar. In brackets, he says here, V'divrei Mogen Avram, so you can get to move me out. Whatever Rabbi writes, it's difficult to die to hach the yuma the year mizrach ayin sham. He seems so that which says yuma kol year kol mizrach is the same as year mizrach. And okay, it's not true. The mitzvah more labana and shichul sham had a year kol mizrach. Oh, there, but it's a yuma because it wants to make a mistake between the light of the moon and daytime. So therefore, in Allah Shachar, therefore they're machmir. Had here kol mizrach. It's not relevant to this. And whatever Gam Mashiksha, whatever he asks on the Rambam. The Gra is Metaretz. The Mishnah Berurah holds that the Zman of Eir HaMizrach is after Los HaShachar. In other words, even Eir HaMizrach, not Kol Pnei HaMizrach. It's a Los HaShachar, Eir HaMizrach, Eir Kol HaMizrach, 3 times. And some people say that the time of Los HaShachar is day, and some people say it's only day from Eir HaMizrach. Halacha, he says, you have to be machmir, everything which has a mitzvah specifically to be done during the day. If it's done before Eir HaMizrach, you have to do it over again. But in davening, if you daven before Eir HaMizrach, it's possible that this is sufficient b'di'evet, that not to go in the back and daven because of the chashash of bracha b'atala, the tzarich. And I want to clarify that what I just said might not be accurate. I'm not looking to tell you Mishnah Berurah. Because Mishnah Berurah, in fact, it may only be 2 times, which is Los HaShachar and Eir HaMizrach / Kol HaMizrach. In other words, he might not differentiate between Hera Mizrach and Hera Kol Mizrach, and there may only be 2 times, not 3 times. Okay, it's quite possible. I'm now looking inside to check it out. Yud Beis. Ava Medrash Rabba Breishis. When the Medrash Rabba Breishis is difficult. Because Isa, it says in Parsha Nunam Rabbi Chanina, Amishalom, Rashachar, Ad Heira Mizrach Arba Milin. The Mount takes the walk 4 meal between Alam and Shachar until Heira Mizrach. Another 4 meal after that until sunrise. That means Amud Shachar is 8 meal before sunrise, which is an extraordinarily long time, and obviously that's not the case. Ayin Sham. Mama says to Gam Yushami Reish Per Gimel Yuma Reish Per Gam the Brachas Yushami Amru Lashon Ayeles HaShachar Ayin Sham. Yushami categorized this under the mysterious definition of categorization of Ayeles HaShachar, the goat's horns of the morning, and the ram's horns in the mornings, which is a very what's the word? Unclear concept. There's a long bracket here. Gore writes that Amud Shachar is not Ayeles HaShachar, and Russell Yerushalmi, and he's referencing the Yerushalmi. To be honest, but it's astounding to me. Of a Medrash is Ayeles HaShachar. Medrash says it is Ayeles HaShachar. Chen Kosav Man Neskuna Sham. Dainuach Ayin Sham. They're both the same. Lai Slim in Amrim B'Shas Dilon. Psachin Tzai Dalam Nafni Ayeles HaShachar Nates Arba Milin. And our Shai says that from Ayeles HaShachar until Nates is the only amount that we takes to go 4 meal. Shai Medrash have a Ches Milin. Shai Medrash it's 8 meal. Shemayin other Shashon Enos over again. Clearly our Shas disagrees. He was like the okay. And he says no, it's not necessarily the case. The Ratzim says she does by the time she's bar b'simun reis samach aleph. B'chiburenu or Yishorim al seva Yosh Rabbeinu tam somehow, in the ways which either become to us in b'simun reis samach aleph, or I didn't even know the Arukh HaShulchan had a chibur or Yishorim al seva Yosh, but in that chibur he based Rabbeinu tam on this medrash, which is interesting concept, but not for now. I believe Rabbi Avram Eli Kaplan has and I don't remember what he says. Pretty sure he has an essay in his foreword to his proposed Perush Shas, which goes into detail about Ayeles HaShachar and Buddha Shachar, and the Kahati, I believe, quotes him in the beginning of Brachas, somewhere along there. Again, not for now. Yud Gimel Shonach Chavlei Mishnah. Chachamim Toasei Mishnah. Tfilas HaShachar ad Chatzos. Tfilas HaShachar goes all the way till midday. Rabbi Yomer ad Arba Shos. Rabbi says only till 4 hours. Yibs Koel Chesov Mark Rabbi Yehuda. Psak is like Rabbi Yehuda only till 4 hours. Kosa brief. Vavagav Leis Rabbi Rabbanan Amrei Chatzos. Even though we don't pass like Rabbanan, who say that it goes till Chatzos, till midday. Hechot the Tov and Tzolach Arba Shos. If he made a mistake in davening after 4 hours, Schar Tfilah Yavilei, he gets the reward for davening. He doesn't get the reward for davening on time. Chenkos have a Rambam Perkim on Tfilah B'Lashon HaTorah. This is what the Torah writes. V'im of Arba about Arba Shos, he spal on Chatzos. If he did not daven till after 4 hours, he should still daven to Chatzos. Api she'ein lo schar b'Tfilah k'Tfilah. This is mine. No, he doesn't have the reward of Tfilah at the proper time. Schar Tfilah mi'eka is the reward of Tfilah HaKal Lashon. He doesn't write that if you pass, but if you made a mistake or passed. Ayin Sham. After Chatzos, you're not allowed to daven Shachris altogether. You have to do Tashlum and Mincha. Mishur writes that if you didn't daven deliberately in after 4 hours, it's best that you should daven with a Tanai, that if Mitzadeh or Potter, it's a voluntary tefillah, because some people hold that if you deliberately wait until 4 hours, they cannot daven anymore. Arukh HaShulchan does not bring such a thing down. Yudalit. Afapi v'avagav ta'rif ha'rama lo yizkir chatzos. The Rif Ram did not mention until midday. Nevertheless, coming out some came the time of the Rabbanon Asu Allah. Since they're coming with the reasoning of Rabbanon, Ve'im lo murak al chatzos. And they only said till, in other words, the Rif Rambam didn't mention Chatzos, but clearly you can only go to Chatzos, not later than that. Okay? Chatzos, the Din came. So after Chatzos, this is the halacha. Im of our amazing Eno Shum Tashlim, deliberately passed Chatzos. not 4 hours. So you have no capacity to make it up. Or nanas made a mistake or were compelled. That's going to be explained later on. For Rif is clear, the Rif doesn't mention this. Mishum Lamari Adaim Bedin Zeh, because not yet talking about this halacha. Rambam Shulchan Aruch Osifu Torah Avar. That's the Rambam Shulchan Aruch added, made a mistake or transgressed. Mishum Avar Lo Shayach Din Zeh, because if you did it deliberately, which is an indication of having just Avar on its own, this halacha will not be relevant. But that's what he says. That was Ramah writes after Chatzos, you should daven. Kabnaso Avar V'Loto. It's going on where you deliberately pass the time. Some comedy relied on what's going to be clarified later on in Siman Kuf Ches. And there's also the conclusion of the great decisors. And this is the Psak Halacha L'Maisa. Mishnah says, did he ever, if you daven Shachris in the half hour after Chatzos, your Yotzei and off the daven to Tfilas Tashlumi. Perhaps it's going to come up in Kufches. Tesvav came and she is Manfilo. Once Manfilo arrives, Paino Memelos a Shachar from dawn. Also, you can't go over to your friend's door to give him shalom. Because the name of Kodesh Baruch Hu is shalom, and you should not use Hashem's name somebody else before you lose it to Hashem. They say somebody who gives shalom to his friend before he davens as if he made a foreign altar. Meaning the tefillah is a place in lieu of a korban. Somebody who greets his friend before he greets the Shekhinah and davening. It's like somebody who's going to a foreign altar and he leaves out he forsakes Mikdash Hashem. It's a marshal, chidush. I assume. It's only if he's to go deliberately to his door. If you meet him, just time, then Yochol Litain Lo Shalom Akam Shalom. You're allowed to give him Shalom. That is the end of that quote. It will go on this vein tomorrow as well.